Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Arsenal Daily Transfer Series, the Arsenal Transfer Show itself, every single day at 8 a.m. No matter what is going on, we're here every single day at 8 a.m. still giving you guys all the latest Arsenal information, transfer news, making sense of it and getting your thoughts and feelings in the chat box as well. Good morning. I hope you are well. I hope you're doing good and you're feeling a lot better than how I feel. That's all I'll say right now. But it is an early morning on a Saturday. So we're hoping you're up and awake and ready for all of the Arsenal transfer news to come straight at you and get your thoughts and feelings, of course, in our live chat box as well. So without further ado, let's kick off with our first story, which surrounds Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the Gabonese Arsenal striker, of course, has not been linked with the move away for some time. There was time last season, especially in January as well, when it looked like he could leave. But then Arsenal, of course, gave him that bumper £300,000 to £350,000 per week contract. And that has supposedly not deterred Arsenal from being open for a move for Aubameyang to leave the club this summer. A destination is somewhere that is still a little bit unknown. I've seen murmurs of maybe even someone like Chelsea coming in for Aubameyang. But this is it's not strange. I was going to say strange. I don't think it's strange. I think it's more unlikely that Aubameyang leaves this summer. I'd be very surprised if he did. I don't think he's a player that Arsenal are openly going to be looking for suitors. It'll be more a case if an offer comes in that's too ridiculous to turn down. I think they may be open to selling, but I still cannot see this one being one with legs right now at this moment in time. There's been no word of any official bids. And the report that came from the Telegraph suggesting that Arsenal would be open to his sale is obviously something we need to be aware of, but it's not something that I think that Arsenal will ultimately indulge in unless, as I say, it's a ridiculous offer for the striker. Let's see what you guys are saying about this in the chat box. Good morning, all of you. Yes, it's crazy. I'm up at 8 a.m. every single day, no matter what's going on. Good morning, guys. I hope you're doing all good. Hope you're doing well. Apologies if my voice sounds a little bit hoarse this morning. 33 mornings in a row. Yes, it is indeed, Tim. Thank you so much for tuning in for as many of them as feasibly possible. JD says, would you accept if Chelsea offered 30 million plus add-ons and bonuses for Aubameyang? Fabrizio said, we'll sell if a crazy offer came in. Depends what you define as crazy, doesn't it? 30 million for a 32-ish-year-old striker that's had a really bad season, that's really only going to go, what I would imagine is going to go kind of in a decline. I think probably, yeah. I think you would. And then you maybe open that opportunity up to bring a striker in that's going to give us more next season. That is 30 million for him is, I mean, you're making back nearly half the amount you spent on a guy so many years ago that was in his prime that we thought had no sell-on value. So to get 30 million quid for a player with no sell-on value, I think is an interesting one. But to Chelsea is a real, real big struggle for me to go, yeah, that's what we should be doing. We should be strengthening our rivals. And I'm not so sure. That's where I kind of, I'm a little bit, Actually, it says, would you take Werner for Aubameyang? Yeah, of course. Of course I would. I think Werner's had a really unfortunate season. He's a lot better than the player that we've seen at Chelsea this season. I think he's obviously struggled with form. He's struggled with confidence. Mental health has apparently been a big issue for him as well. Of course I would swap Werner for Aubameyang all day long. Rich says, why do people want to get rid of Aubameyang so bad? He had one bad season. Which is very true. In his whole career, he scored 30 to 40 goals per season every other season. Our midfield was poor. Can't put the blame on him for last season. No, we can't. He did miss some big chances in big moments. It wasn't a case of it just being a lack of chances, although that was definitely a factor, but it wasn't just that. There was chances against Benfica, Olympiacos that I remember that he missed big chances in. Villarreal hit the post twice. In these moments, you need to be taking the chances to separate yourself from just another Arsenal striker to being what he wanted to be, which was a legend. You can't sign a new bumper contract, say that you want to be a legend of the club, and then that happen. That's what's tricky. That's what's hard to understand. Let's go on to our next story and get your thoughts on this one. because it's an interesting one. Bernd Leno, of course, has been with the club since he signed from Bayer Leverkusen a number of years ago. It was Unai Emery's first season. And then we've got Andre Onana, the Cameroonian goalkeeper that's been linked to Arsenal for some time now. We're still awaiting the results of his trial, which, of course, is a current ban until, I believe, February of next year. And if that was to say be successful, it could open up a move to Arsenal happening this summer. It may be one that Arsenal wait for to January, or they might do it anyway. But the biggest question about this Onana deal has been how it affects Bernd Leno's future at the club, which has come into a little bit of question based upon his form this season, how poor he's been in certain areas. He's not been horrific, but I don't think he's been anywhere near as good as what Arsenal needed him to be, and had the mistakes he made against the likes of Liverpool, against Everton, and some other games not happened, then maybe we wouldn't be sitting outside of European football this season. But that can be said for a lot of players that have made mistakes, to be fair. But it is a position that Arsenal are open to upgrading in. It is a position that Arsenal want to see a better player in. And it's ultimately, it's going to be very difficult to find a player for the fee that you're seeing Onana in that is going to be any better than him. You're not going to find a €7 million player for that amount of money. It's going to be very difficult to do that. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit hoarse. I did say that at the start of the show. Yeah, I haven't got a great voice this morning, so apologies, guys. But for me, I look at Onana and I go, this guy is an upgrade for me on Bernd Leno. We've done our tactical breakdown on him, and you can go and watch that dedicated video on Onana to find out all of the different bits of information about him, his stats, how he compares, the eye test, the expert insight as well. And he comes out a lot better than Bernd Leno, and certainly would be an upgrade on the German international. I also think if you can get someone like Onana in for, say, €7 million, which is still a crazy amount of money, and you're able then to sell Bernd Leno on, that is a huge bit of profit you would think we would be able to make on someone like Leno. That's not, value has not diminished since we bought him for around £20-25 million. So it could be a really good financial move for the club as well. Shriram says, don't know much about Onana, but Leno needs to improve in his ball distribution. He is a great shot stopper, and that is the part that Onana definitely eclipses him in, is how he distributes the football. Jasmine says Onana is the modern goalkeeper compared to Leno, and I certainly agree with that. Balaji says Onana, well-rounded keeper. I would keep Leno till January or next window and then sell him. This gives us more time to integrate and use him. Manu says, actually, it's free money, which is incredible in football today. You can still find deals that give you free money and improve on a player as well. Nico says, Onana stays in the middle and jumps left and right. He waits for the last minute to adjust his feet. It's a beauty to watch. A bit of a camera keeper, maybe you would describe that as. Another interesting story has been surrounding Hector Bellerin. The Arsenal Spanish right-back has been linked with a move away for a consistent amount of time. There was reports of a supposed agreement between him and Mikel Arteta last summer that would see him leave the club. And that looks like it's going to take place. Where he goes is still very much a mystery right now. But some interesting swap deal reports between himself, Kieran Trippier, and Aaron Ramsey. Now, the first thing to say about this, and the good news about this, is that we are seeing links with Bellerin wanted by some big clubs, which is still a very good sign in how much money we may be able to get for him. The bad news is the players that we're being linked with a possible swap deal. Let's start with Kieran Trippier. Has done very well since moving to Atletico Madrid from Spurs, but he's not a player that I'm interested in Arsenal going for. I think there are much better options at right back that we should be going for, and he just isn't really that much of an upgrade, in my opinion, on Hector Bellerin. You go to Aaron Ramsey. Whilst I think he's a very good player, I appreciate his quality. I loved him at Arsenal, could not get enough of him, and was really gutted when he left. I would have much rather have seen us give that Ozil contract to Aaron Ramsey rather than keeping Mesut Ozil, because I think it would have done better in the long run for us. But it's here or there. You're never going to be able to know for sure. But the point is now that he is on a bumper contract to Juventus, he's under contract, and he's in a position where we need to upgrade upon in a significant way. And I don't think that Aaron Ramsey is the right type of player for Arsenal. Herb says Ramsey is going to demand huge wages. Jasmine says I'd probably loan Bellerin to Atletico for a season. Imagine how Simeone turns him into a beast and maybe come back to Arsenal. I just doubt that's going to happen. And Simeone doesn't necessarily have the ability to transform players, especially of a more technical nature, That doesn't tend to happen under him. It's usually more combative players, your Sals, your Kokes, etc. Marcos Llorente has come in and been an absolute revelation at Atletico Madrid, and I don't see that same transformation happening for Bellerin. It's just a different ballpark, in my opinion. Let's have a look at what Nico's saying. Maybe Bellerin will smash it at La Liga. I don't want either Trippier or Ramsey. Aarons or Celik. Buendia and Sambi are the better choice. Ramsey left Arsenal a long time ago for the money. I don't know. It's saying like he left for the money. Obviously, we offered him a contract. We then retracted that contract offer, is the situation that happened. He wasn't really left with too much choice, and so he left. It's hard to say that he left for the money when you're offered a huge contract. You know, it's not like if you were in that situation, they offer you that amount of money, you're going to go, no, I'm not going to have that. So it is weird. And I do think that Arsenal made a mistake in retracting their contract offer for him. But it's just the way it goes. And it's just the way the cookie crumbles, as we'll say. Let's move on to the possible ins then and look at Lokonga, who is, of course, the Anderlecht Belgian midfielder that has been linked to the club over the last week or so. We have also done a dedicated tactical breakdown show on him if you wanted to find out a little bit more on the channel as well. So this is a really interesting story because, of course, he has worked with Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry, obviously the former assistant coach to Roberto Martinez in the Belgian national side. Whilst he hasn't worked with him directly, he has been very much aware of Lokonga and has apparently recommended him to Arsenal, which is a good thing. It does certainly help with Arsenal's kind of proactiveness and how they're going to chase this kind of deal. But fingers crossed it's something that Arsenal can move forwards with and we can get a good price for this guy because he has got a lot of potential. And he's someone that I think that if you're going to be a little bit smarter in the market, someone like this guy, in addition to, say, a Basuma, in addition to a much more marquee kind of midfielder, that's probably the better way to go. Dave says, what's wrong with following the money? We would all do it. Exactly. It's an exciting link, says Scrubber Steve. It certainly is. AAA says, in my opinion, we dipped massively when Rambo left, but unfortunately, that boat has now sailed. Rich says, we need to be signing this guy as a backup / potential star, not a main signing. I definitely agree with you. JD says, Lokonga would be the perfect Ceballos replacement. Jasmeet says, apparently, Basuma is not on the top of our midfield list, which means our top target is someone better than Basuma. I mean, no, it doesn't necessarily mean someone better than Basuma. It just means someone else other than Basuma, which is frustrating right now. That is for sure. Let's move on to the next one then. I think this is probably our last story of the day. It certainly is. Buendia, the Argentinian midfielder from Norwich, who has been linked to Arsenal for a significant period of time now. The bids are going in from Arsenal and Aston Villa. Arsenal are now really trying to push for this guy. It's hotting up at an incredible pace. £30 million bid went in, was rejected. There are rumblings that a £35 million bid, according to Sky Sports, has also been submitted, but we are yet to hear any kind of knowledge of whether that was accepted, rejected, etc. But what we do now know is that the sell-on clause that Getafe added into his contract has now been paid off by Norwich. So Norwich actually bought out that sell-on clause, so they will not owe Getafe any money from the fee in which they are going to be owed from whatever amount of money comes in for him. Now, usually you would look at that as a good thing for the buying club because the buying club then doesn't have to factor that in and raise their value. But you also have to think about, well, Norwich now going to turn around and be like, whatever we can demand for this guy, we get to keep all of that. So all of those things you need to think about, and that is certainly going to be a factor in what Norwich want for this guy. They're going to want to get a huge amount of money for him. Obviously, they will. And where are they going to stop? Are they going to know that Arsenal and Aston Villa are both vying for his signature and use that to their advantage? Or are they going to wait for one of them to stop bidding and move on from there? I think what we can say is that Buendia is most likely going to be not a Norwich player next season, which for the guys over at Norwich, and we've got some good friends over at Cast Canary, but I'm sorry guys, he needs to move on. In my view, he needs to take that next step. And there's been a few Norwich fans in our comment sections at times throwing their weight around a bit, so it'll be nice if we could throw a couple of comments their way as well. Drizzy says, I'm confused. Was the fee less than what they were estimating the sale cost? Otherwise, what's the point of paying it? We obviously, Drizzy, we don't know when this was paid off. We don't know when the buyout or the sell-on clause was paid out. So it could have been at a time that they would have thought that the sell-on clause weren't to be worth anything. And obviously now Norwich would have made a much better decision by doing that as well. Thank you, Gentle Ken. Much appreciate the support, fella, as always. Again, apologies that I'm not 100% this morning. You can probably tell that I'm not on my 100% self today. There are reasons for that. Juco says, Patson Daka, Odsonne Edouard update. Nothing, mate. Absolutely nothing. Apologies. There's no updates on those two in regards to Arsenal pushing for either of those two players. Leicester look like they're the team they're going to be going for Edouard, as well as Inter Milan as well. And Liverpool were the biggest kind of link that's legitimate to Patson Daka at the moment. Antonio says that means that Buendia's replacement for Grealish. It doesn't necessarily, Antonio. Aston Villa are looking to add to that team rather than replace Jack Grealish, but he could still leave, of course, this season. Vignesh says, hi, Tom. It seems that Luis Campos recommended Lokonga as the ideal replacement for Samara at Lille. Maybe that's the reason. Of course, Luis Campos has left Lille and has done for quite some time, and his relationship with Gerard Lopez, the guy that runs things over at Lille, is very much over, and there's a big legal thing going on there. So is he trying to undermine Lille by suggesting certain players to other teams? We'll have to wait and see to see if Arsenal go for this one. Jasmine says, imagine a midfield combo of Buendia, Basuma, Partey. They could unlock more freedom for our attacking front three and result in more chance creation / goals. I definitely agree with that. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up there. So thank you ever so much. Sorry it's a shorter show this morning, but that's all I'm going to give you today. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please do drop a like on today's video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll be back probably at some point this afternoon to give you an update on some more transfer stuff. If we're linked to any specific transfer targets, we will, of course, be doing some dedicated shows supporting them as well to give you guys all the information that you need. Please drop a like. Please subscribe. We'll be back very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.